afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. We appreciate you tuning in with us today on this great day. All right, so we are actually going to be doing something special today. We're talking about the family court system, the child support system, whether men have even a place in the court system, anything like that. We've got a few guests we're going to be talking to today just to kind of get their perspective on different things. I've got my first guest here is Mr. Attorney James Shadd, one of our brothers out here in the state of South Carolina. I know we have viewers from all over the country, men from everywhere, just going to be kind of tuning in just to kind of figure out their place in all this. I didn't bring my cue cards today because I ran out of the house because I was so excited to talk about this stuff with everybody today. So you ain't gonna see me with my cue cards. We're not gonna talk about any business tips today. This topic that we're gonna be talking about is extremely important to our families, to the fathers, to the men who just want to be dad. So we're just gonna be talking just directly about, fathers and dads and the child support system and the court system, just, so we can get a better understanding of why these things happen. So, Mr. Shadd.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you coming out here with me today.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate all that you're doing, especially we're talking about building a man. And so I'm just honored that you had me to come share a little bit of information on behalf of the legal system, and so how folks can navigate through that and hopefully avoid some things. And if they do find themselves in the court system, they can become equipped, educated, and then they can advocate for not only for themselves but especially for the kids.
Man, well, thank you. I mean, it's actually a no-brainer to have Mr. Shadd on here. I mean, he's definitely well-equipped and well-liked and well-respected in the state in terms of attorneys and the family court system. So, I mean, it was just, it was like, I was just surprised that he had time for me to even come out here and be on this Build a Man show just so we could help, engage and invest in these men out here. Absolutely. So, let's just jump right into it. How do you feel about the family court system as it pertains to men?
Well, first of all, it is a system. It's a process where, unfortunately, not only is there perception, but the reality is the situation is that we've come from historically where the family is just separated because of welfare, because of the value of marriage is not as strong as it used to be. Folks getting together, having children, and then children are born, but the relationship has ended. And so the court then says, well, what are we going to do with this child in terms of their future, their financial future, making sure they're taken care of. You may have single mothers who may be involved, taking care of their kids, and they need assistance from the dad. Again, the relationship is no longer there. It could be as a result of divorce or what have you. And so the court system is there for people to avail themselves of their rights. A child has a right to be taken care of from a financial standpoint by both parents. And in a perfect world, the parents will work things out, look and see what the finances are like, and then try to assist the dad, who's, in this case, the non-custodial parent, may end up giving funds to the custodial parent to help assist her in taking care of the child. But unfortunately, we don't have a perfect world, and sometimes the courts have to get involved. And so then there's a sense of unfairness because rather than looking at what dad may do on his own, providing gifts, giving money, if a child needs something, they take care of it right there, birthday gifts, Christmas, what ends up happening is the court says, well, we don't care about any of that. Mm-hmm. We want to know what you earn per month or per week, or even if you're not working, we're going to impute minimum wage and say, this is what you're going to pay.
Yes.
Even though the reality is you're not working. You may have a disability. You may have just, was dealt a bad hand and you just can't find a job. You don't have necessary work skills. The court doesn't care. Yeah. You're going to still pay even if you cannot pay. And unfortunately, the consequence of that is once you get that court order and you are unable to pay, you may not get a sympathetic judge, and then you're going to jail, which is even worse for the child.
So how can a judge or an attorney or somebody say that, we know you're paying, let's say you're paying $250 a month.
Right.
How can a judge or an attorney say, you know what, well, you have the potential to make $350 payments a month? How is that even legal to tell me what my potential is based on your opinion?
Unfortunately, it's legal because the General Assembly has provided guidance to the judges to say, under the South Carolina Child Support Guidelines, we believe that this person they have the potential. They have apparently the work experience, they have the necessary educational skills, and so therefore, in their mind, sometimes in the court's mind, you shouldn't be sitting down and working. You're able-bodied, you're able to go out and work, and there should be jobs available for you to find. And so we are going to impute that dollar amount and say, at a minimum, this is how much you should be able to provide for your child, even if in reality you're only capable of paying $250 because you still have bills to pay, just like she has bills to pay. And so you literally have to change your budget, change your mindset. So not only do you just try to stay out of jail, but you just want to be able to live. And I've had countless conversations with guys where they're like, listen, I cannot make this bill. I have these other bills, and the court doesn't care because they only go by your gross income. They don't look at how your money
before
is going
taxes.
out. Right, exactly. Everything is before
taxes, y'all. They're looking at your money for child support before taxes.
Yes.
And everybody who's tuning into us live, make sure you share this live feed right here, because there are a lot of men out there that can actually utilize this information to assist them with what they're possibly going through or what they might be going through in the future. So make sure you go ahead and share this live feed with other individuals. Share it on your pages. So when it comes to an individual who, they say, I'm tired of it. I can't deal with this stuff no more. I can't handle the situation. Right. I've heard a lot of guys who are like the blind leading the blind. And they'll say, you know what, if you just go ahead and terminate your parental rights, you'll be free. You'll be home free, and you can just do what you want to do. Is that even possible?
It is possible. In fact, I currently have a case now where I have a gentleman. He has absolutely no relationship with the child. At one point, he didn't realize this was his child, but he was told years later that it was. She took him to family court. He is currently under child support, but she is refusing to let him see the child. And because he doesn't have a relationship with the child, he's okay continuing not to have that. In fact, she has remarried. Well, she is married. I'm sorry. She's married. That gentleman is taking care of this child on a daily basis. So she has two parents in the home. And so now we're going through a process where we're like, listen, I do not want to have a relationship with this child. I'm paying my child support. Paying my child support obligation, but I don't even want to visit. The child barely knows me, if they know me at all. And so I'd like to free myself and free this child up, because that's really what you're talking about, terminating your parental rights. You're freeing this child up so that they can potentially become adopted by the step parent. Mm-hmm. Now, the courts typically frown upon that, mm-hmm. and it's a sort of an old paternalistic situation. Please forgive me for using this word, but we learned it in law school. Mm-hmm. There's a point where you don't want to bastardize the child. Mm-hmm. In other words, if the father releases his or relinquishes his rights, and that means that the child now becomes a bastard, not necessarily a ward of the state, but it means that they no longer have that parent, that second parent. And so some guys are saying that, but I really want guys to think long and hard about that, especially if they have a relationship with the child. Do you really want to cut off the relationship with the child because you either don't want to give the money to the mom, or because you just don't want the state telling you that you can't be a father, or you're less than a father because you're just not making this financial obligation? Consider the other part of it, the emotional ties that you have, the mental, the psychological, and what impact that would have, because you terminate your rights, which means that you no longer have the duty to pay, but that also means that you no longer have the right to go back and try to get visitation or perhaps get custody.
So you're just giving up, you're giving up everything when it comes to TPR. All right. Also, can you explain a little bit about these two laws that I know about in the state of South Carolina? So the one law is that if we are unwed, and so if me and the child's mother are not married, I have zero rights to this child.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she can actually move away and put me on child support, and I've never even seen the child.
The law says that a child born of an unwed mother, that mother is the custodial parent. And unless and until the man, once the child is born, exercises his rights to say, I want visitation, I want time with my child. After that child is born, then that's when he can do that. But there is absolutely no right. He has no say-so. He has no say-so in whether she decides to keep the child or she wants to terminate her pregnancy. He has no say-so at all. But once that child comes, then his rights, and then he has the rights, but it's only if he utilizes it.
So we got to go establish the rights in court,
which
correct?
Sometimes he can do it on his own, but he may have to come out of his pocket, hire an attorney like myself,
Oh my God.
just to have time with his child, just to try to stop the mom from leaving the state, because she can do whatever she wants to because that's her child. They were not married. Now, if they're married, then of course he has rights as the husband. Again, that's to that paternalistic side.
Yeah.
If you're the husband, you get to say so. But if you're the father, you have no rights unless and until you decide to avail yourself of the court.
So
which can be costly.
I think we need to make an appeal to some of these legislators out there just to say, hey, these fathers need to have 50-50 rights upon the birth of this child. They've got to, because, literally men are being controlled for the rest of their lives based on decisions that they can't even make on their own. After the man and the woman both decided to make that conscious decision to lay down.
Right.
So now one person has the control over the rest of his life after two people made this conscious decision. So I think we probably need to look at some bills. There are some bills across the United States and different states right now that are saying upon birth, there's 50-50 rights for a father and a child. What about the other law that says if a husband and wife are there and the mother, the wife cheats on the husband and gets pregnant and has a baby,
right,
that the husband is legally the father?
Yes, and that is, again, this is a law that's been in place for several decades. And the feeling I would imagine back then was she steps out on her husband, cheats with another man. And in fact, this was happening a lot when folks were in the military. Soldiers would go off to war, and the wives would get lonely.
Yeah.
And so they would have children. But to try to keep that behind his back, they would then say, well, this is your child. And the law actually sanctioned that. The law said, because of our paternalistic society, we don't want a child that is born out of wedlock. So this is your child, sir. And so when you all divorce, you can potentially be financially responsible for a child that she did not bear. And that absolutely happens. In fact, what has to happen is he has to prove that he did not have access to her at the time that she conceived. In other words, for a soldier, he was literally off the war at the time that she, you calculate and say, oh no, he clearly wasn't around.
Yeah.
But what about if he was here? Yeah. What if she stepped out the day before and he was home? He has to literally pinpoint when the day of conception was and that he was not around. Now, he can try to do that by taking a DNA test. And then, of course, it will clear him and he can say, well, obviously I didn't have access to him. They should conceive because I'm not the father. But he's got to possibly have to hire an attorney just to do that.
Just even do that.
Yes.
$6,000 or $7,000 just to even do that.
Oh, yes.
Upwards.
Absolutely.
So as y'all can see, the situation that's going on when it comes to the family court system and the laws are just against the father. They are against the man. There's no other way around it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just the law. The law's about it. But it's time for those laws to change. I think it's time that we start to put a little bit more equality. We complained and cried about equality for so long. I believe that women have progressed so far. They are smart. They got businesses. They are lawyers. They can be our president. I think that they have progressed so far that the laws are actually underplaying them. The laws are saying that, hey, you still need this man to support yourself, or you still need this man to do that. I don't think that's true anymore. I think women are just as capable, if not more capable in some cases, to support, and to support themselves or to make, conscious decisions, that they don't need the law there to say, hey, that, you get to control this or control that. I think equality is here, and it's time now to exercise those equality. So, but yeah, if you have anything else to say, you want to put your contact information out there for anybody to get, some information from you.
Well, I would just say this. I would encourage men all across America, especially here in South Carolina, which is where we live, to get the right information. Involve yourself with men's groups. Involve yourself with, I hope it's okay to plug the Midlands Fatherhood Coalition and other men-serving agencies around the state, and get this information, know what your rights are, and then utilize it. And perhaps, if you need to hire an attorney to kind of guide you along the way and advocate for you. The judges will respect what those attorneys have to say, especially if the law is on your side, especially if you are doing the right thing, working every single day, making sure that you have a relationship with your children, and building up that history will assist you once you go into court, trying your best to have some type of relationship with the mom, not necessarily of a romantic nature anymore, but at least show that you want to co-parent, that you want to be there, so that you can kind of tip the scales, at least make it even.
Yeah.
But hopefully sometimes to try to put it in your favor so that you can do what you are called to do as a father for your children. So I will just say this, thank you again for allowing me to be on The Builder Man, especially for this particular topic. Again, I'm James Shadd. I'm the founder of the Shadd Law Firm. We've been in practice for the past 13 and a half years. We've enjoyed practicing family law, criminal defense, personal injury, represent small business owners. We are at 810 Dutch Square Boulevard, right around the corner, Suite 450. Our office number is 803-771-7460. Web address shaddlawsc.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, IG, LinkedIn, Shadd Law Firm page, Villager page, For Brothers Only page. So thank you again. And of course, our 1921 Enclave where we promote small business owners from a minority perspective.
Yeah, so Mr. Shadd is quite an entrepreneur, and he does a lot to promote empowerment for men and males, and a lot of mentoring and things like that. He definitely is the individual that we need in our community. So thank y'all again, and we'll be right back with a couple more guests to talk about some more information.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
yes, sir.
It. All right.
It's the event of the year, the 2019 Taste of Black Columbia, Friday, May 17th at the South Carolina State Museum. Join us for a variety of chefs, caterers, and restaurateurs from across the area as they compete to be the best of the region. Featuring Grammy-nominated songstress Lettucey. It's the Taste of Black Columbia. Good friends, great food, and a grand time. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit blackexposouth.com.
Councilwoman Tamika Isaacs Devine, first African-American woman elected to the Columbia City Council.
Committed. She is very committed to the improvement of our community.
Bold in that she's willing to talk about difficult issues.
Not only is she a leader in her community, she's a leader in her sorority. She's an excellent example of what leadership is.
I'd go anywhere, anytime to do anything for Tamika Isaac Devine.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Jermaine Johnson, and I'm excited to be bringing to you our new podcast entitled Builder Man. So we're going to be talking about all things man-related. We're going to talk about politics, business, anything that can help a man become the strong foundation that we know he's been called to be.
You don't want to miss this, the 22nd Annual Columbia Black Expo Economic Empowerment Summit. Join us as we focus on the 5 pillars of economic empowerment: jobs, education, health, wealth generation, and entrepreneurship. Featuring author-actor Hill Harper. Don't miss your opportunity to showcase your small business in front of thousands. Secure your vendor spot today. It's an enlightening, educating, and entertaining summit you don't want to miss. Meet us at the Convention Center on May 18th. To purchase vendor booths, tickets, and for more information, visit blackexposouth.com.
All right, we back live here on the Builder Man podcast, talking about the family court system, talking about the child support system, talking about, if a man has a place in this system and all this stuff. So we had James Shadd here before, but now I'm joined by 2 other great men, just to get them to tell some of their stories about, their experiences with the family court system, with, families and just trying to be dad. They have some really compelling stories. So, they might even, have you shed some tears. So, anyway, I'm gonna start with the guy on my right. I met this young strapping gentleman some years back, and I forced him to put me in his wedding after I met him, and we became good friends ever since. I do anything for this man, and I just want him to. I really want him to come out here to share his story, just so you all understand that this thing is not about race or anything about that. The family court system needs to be overhauled for all men. So, Mr. Clark, please tell us, your name and, tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, my name is Robert Clark. It was very, very trying time. After finding out that my ex-fiance was on drugs and stuff, the court system decided that I didn't need to see my child. Gave me 3 different reasons, but the last reason was because somebody talked to her about the court case. And some months later, we found out that who talked about the court case was her guardian ad litem. But we got punished for it. We weren't married. I asked her to marry me over and over again, but she never would. She'd say yes, and then it was never good enough. So, I stayed from my child, but then I didn't get to see her for probably, I want to say it was a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I went through probably about 5 years of court on, off, having to use vacation to go to court. Never got a vacation. So, there was multiple mishandles by DSS, them breaking court orders, and never once were they held accountable for it. If it would have been me, I disobeyed a court order, I go to jail. They disobey a court order, I'll just do better next time. That's hard to take as a man. I'm no less of a person than, and no offense, than any other woman. I'm no different as a man than any woman. I can take care of my child. I can change a diaper. I can feed her with a bottle. I can do any of that. And I can't replace some of the types of love that a woman can, but a woman can't replace the types of love a man gives. They can't replace that sense of stability, and fathers are known for being disciplinarians. Mm-hmm. Children are 90% more likely to run away without a father in their life or without a male figure in their life.
And 279 times more likely to carry a gun.
Yes. I don't think we as a society need that for our kids. We as a society have to step up and be better. I was sitting here listening to the attorney talk to everyone, and he was telling us about a man's forced to do this and forced to do that. Well, this country was built on 3 principles: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and every one of them gets trampled on when you put a man in court over a child. The family court system is unregulated. They can do whatever they want to. We just found that out because a judge in Richland County there was some issues going on about the judge being unfair to certain people. I didn't get to read everything about it, but it would seem that's a judge would if I'm gonna be accountable for doing something in court, judge tells you to do this, seem like DSS or a guardian ad litem or would be held accountable for the things they do.
Well, you have in terms of this family court system, if a if a father is unwed, the mother can literally be on drugs or whatever, and she can tell the DSS that, you know, hey, if you're going to take my child away from me, don't give my child to the father. Give my child to my mom, or give my child to my sister, or give my child to my brother, or give my child to my best friend down the street. And the father literally has no say-so in this. You know, the father could be, well respected in the community, have a good job, good paying job, have a wife and 2 other kids, but the mother has all the rights to say, you know what, I don't want my child to go over there with his daddy. I want the child to go down the street with, my best friend. So you're going to trust that she's going to be able to make a sound judgment decision when she didn't make a good decision to even stay off the drugs. But you're going to trust her decision as to know where the child will be, best protected. When you've got a capable father that's just standing right there saying, "Hey, look at me. I'm here, and I want to care for my child." It's a sad situation, and I've literally watched this man go through it, for the past few years. Just trying to be dad. So my next individual I have here, you probably seen him on the news. You've seen him all over the place. He's famous. Yeah. This guy's famous. I watched his story myself, and I mean, it's heartbreaking, but it's heartbreaking, throughout the story, but it's got a happy ending. So, Christopher Emmanuel, please, tell us about yourself.
Before I say anything, man, it's an honor to be on here. You've grown. We were just talking about it. You've grown expeditiously. So this is something that I don't take lightly. But long story short, as we know, it's really long. My daughter's involved in human trafficking through adoption. My daughter's biological parent didn't approve of, or her parents didn't approve of our relationship, and they coerced her to sell her into adoption. However, I was able to intervene because I registered on the Responsible Father Registry. Right. And for those who don't know what it is, for any father who feel they have fathered a child or about to father a child, it requires they be notified in the event the baby is put up for adoption or if a father's rights are being terminated. The Father Registry is in 33 out of 50 states, and each state carries a different criteria. For example, in the state of South Carolina, it's free. It's an online database. In the state of Georgia, it requires a $9 filing fee. In the state of Texas, you have to know the mother's driver's license number, social security number, and then you register. In the state of Utah, it requires $4,000 to $5,000 in attorney fees. Just to register
as a responsible father.
And the downfall is it was never created to benefit willing fathers. It was created to secure adoptions, right? So even though I registered, they still thwarted me, tried to prevent me from being the responsible dad that I was. I was served with an improper notice of adoption proceedings, stating I had 30 days to contest the adoption. I only had 10 days, and I was served the 9th day out of 10 days. So if I wouldn't have drove to Greenville, South Carolina, I wouldn't be telling you the story today. But that's not it. That's not it.
Go ahead, bro.
They changed venue without notifying me or my attorneys. My daughter's biological mother wasn't due, so they could clear the ICPC. The ICPC is Interstate Compact for Placing of Children to go state to state. So even though we're willing and we're responsible and we're educated, and even though we may not necessarily know the exact steps, I'm a firm believer of the Most High. My footsteps were ordered. But even in the midst of that, they still tried to step on my back. So when we talk about equality, even when dads are educated, it goes back to the family court reform. And we really narrowed down our focus specifically on adoption, trafficking. We educate dads as well. We've tag team. But now we have to train these practitioners. We have to train these judges. We have to train these legislators, because we have so many old laws on the books that we don't even know about. They passed so many laws through the Senate that the most popular vote, the rest of the legislators would just, go through it, right? But there's a law that labels biracial children as handicapped, right? A child can only leave the state if they have some type of mental, physical, or emotional disability. But in my daughter's case, it was a mixed race, So it's it happened the way it happened so that we can do the work and have the conversation that we're having now, because conversations are how we provide these solutions.
Yeah.
So now we actually have a training on May the 3rd. We've tag teamed with the one of the #1 attorneys in the state by the name of James Fletcher Thompson. He's actually the principal drafter of the Responsible Father Registry.
All right.
Kevin Millard, he's a writer for the New York Times and the Atlantic, a law professor at Syracuse University.
I told y'all he was famous.
USC. It's a brotherhood. It's a tribe. We doing this together now.
Yeah.
We doing this together. But our goal is to be able to speak about state-specific laws regarding non-marital paternity, parental rights, and adoption in relation to the Responsible Father Registry, so that we can provide some healthy solutions.
Yeah. And that's something that we definitely need because I think it's about time that we all are treated equally. When it comes to visitation rights and child support and all that, why should it even be a question if a father is capable?
Right.
Why should it even be a question that everything is not from day one 50-50?
Right.
If a father is capable of paying 50% of the expenses of a child, if a father is capable of having the child in his house 50% of the time, why is it even a question that he has to compete just to be able to see his child every other weekend? Men for so long have been reduced to every other weekend visits and checks. And I think that is something that needs to be addressed at this point. And as you can see, it does not matter what race you are. It affects everybody. It affects our children, it affects our families, it affects our state. Because when these children don't have their dads in their lives, what happens is it increases poverty and it increases crime for everybody. So it affects the entire state. It affects the entire nation.
Sure indeed.
So it is time to fix some things. I think we need to get together and really band together. And if we're going to support, families, then we need to support these fathers because they are part of the father. They are part of the families. Because if they are not supported, then we have one half of the family that's not doing. They're not clicking on all cylinders. So when a car is going, if you're missing a tire, or you're missing one half of the tire or one half of the engine, you're not going very far. You're not going very far. So we need to make sure that everybody is healthy, that the family is healthy, and we need to start investing back in these families.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you have anything else to add on your situation or anything?
Well, as a country, how does it look? In fatherhood, you guys taught us that if I go talk bad about the mother, that leads the child to believe that part of, she's got half of my genetics and half of her genetics. Mm-hmm. That leads her to believe that half of her is bad.
Yeah.
How does it look for a court system to look at a father and say, you can't have her? Why? Am I bad?
Mm-hmm.
If a entity like Fatherhood Coalition is saying you shouldn't do that because it's detrimental to the child's mental health, how does it look when you've got DSS and the court system and these other people saying you can't see your dad, you can't, because apparently part of my child is bad because I'm bad.
So let's talk about DSS for a second as well. You all have had experience with DSS, correct? So the last time we've been inside DSS, I would say, is about 95% female, right? So with DSS being 95% female, now this is not about being sexist or misogyny or any of that stuff, but if you don't have a male perspective in any of these situations, how can you really understand what the man is thinking?
You hit it on the head.
I think some of these, and then with DSS in this state, the turnover rate at DSS is so high that even after, the entity like us at the Fatherhood Coalition, we go in there and train those individuals about, what it is that we do and how we can help. 6 months later, those same people that we trained are gone. So now we gotta continuously retrain people on the importance of fathers, because a lot of people who are coming around, they don't even realize how important it is, because a lot of us didn't grow up without our dads. So it's causing a riff-raff in families and all of that.
Right. So it's hard to fathom because it's called the DSS, Responsible Father Registry.
Yeah.
One day I went into the DSS, I was just probing the question, hey, have you heard of the Responsible Father Registry? No, what is that? I mean, Come on. How do you not know?
Yeah.
You know, so we have things in place that can help benefit fathers, but there's no funding behind it. It's not even advertised besides what we're doing.
Yeah.
See, I think more the problem is, you know, I've got to go register as my child's father.
Yeah.
You know, people that are convicted of sexual crimes have to register.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm on that level that I have to register?
Yeah.
So you want to keep account?
Yeah. Wow. Well, this conversation is great. I hate that it's got to end at this point. Maybe we'll do a part 2 and invite our guests back and we can talk about it some more. But thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, share the page. Talk about Build a Man. We're here to invest in our men, invest in our communities, so we can actually go back and help our families out. Any last few words y'all want to say? You know, anything?
Dads,
contact
if you feel you have fathered a child, about to father a child, please go register. You can follow me or contact me for any questions at skyisthelimitfoundation.org. Again, that is skyisthelimitfoundation.org.
I know there's probably some fathers out there going through some tough stuff right now. Don't give up. Just, you know, it's rough, it's hard. Just hang in there. Midlands Fatherhood, a great place to learn very many things, and they'll help you through it, not just through the education and everything else, but emotionally as well.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll stay tuned for the next installment of Build a Man.